Cutters, Degrassi, Unpopular Opinions. Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Dubbing. Welcome you to another Degrassi Unpopular Opinion. And this is a double down, if you will. Now, I've done a couple of Degrassi Unpopular Opinions based on Emma's behavior after season 4 and how, the writer screwed her over, in a sense, by making her actresses glow up, basically a glow up of some sort, and making her more like a ditz. And also the fact about Emma being clingy as a friend and a girlfriend, if you will. So basically, someone actually did a Reddit post. I know the sun's kind of going to cause some issues, but whatever. The post was made by Informal Garlic 13 days ago. And for context, this is being taped on April 17th, 2022. So the thing says this. So I'm on season 8 of my rewatch, and one thing I never understood about Emma is how she was hopeless when the gang went to Smithdale. Like, it's enough they spent 7th through 12th grade together at the same school every day. Well, they were at the same college for probably the next 4 years. And she was mad that Liberty and Manny didn't want to room with her. You'll spend time and see your friends a good amount if you're on the same campus. And like Manny said, not rooming together gave them a chance to meet new people. And Emma acted like that was a crime. Then she was all bored and sad and wasn't happy until Kelly suggested they do something together. Go out and find something to do. Meet new people. Get involved. Do the freshman activities. Give Manny some space. I understand being socially awkward and having a hard time doing things on your own without a push from someone else. But Emma was too much. And the fact that she basically had nothing going on in college besides being Kelly's girlfriend is annoying. And then I realized I don't really know what Emma's interests are outside of the environment. Her personality disappeared. So I'm going to give you the context of this. Of course, I have my own opinions, and I will double down on them and all that. I am planning maybe on doing like 20 unpopular opinions that I refuse to let go, even though people probably hate them. So basically, here's what happened. So the first few seasons of Degrassi, people noticed that Emma was kind of rude, annoying, making mountains out of molehills, just basically being pushy, nosy, and bossy. So yeah, so she had a lot of bad things happen in her first few seasons that people thought that Emma was just being stupid. And then season 4 pops up, and when she was upset over the fact that Liberty wanted to be with Chris, when Emma and Chris broke up, which I think was going to happen anyway, Emma tried to prevent that. Manny tells Liberty about Emma's plan, and Manny and Liberty move on from Emma. Emma, feeling dismayed, decides to go into Paige's friend group after hearing that Rick was coming back to town. So basically, spurred on by her trying to get friends, and also for trying to maybe sticking it to Raditch and sticking it to Manny and Liberty, she did the Orange Ribbon campaign. But the students took it the wrong way. I mean, Emma should be blamed for starting this campaign, yes, but the students took it the wrong way. But in a way, I can't blame them because, the school refused to help them out. So anyway, Emma loses Paige's friend group because she protected Rick from a beating, saying that, it's hypocritical. But they think she's hypocritical. And so Emma is stuck with the Wacky Brain team, or the Quiz Bowl team, on her own. She's with Toby, Jimmy, and Heather Sinclair Toby, Heather Sinclair, and Rick, before Heather is replaced by Jimmy only because of Mono. And I'm puzzled. It's like Liberty's the brainiac of the school. Why wasn't she on the team? Only because she didn't want to be on the same team as Emma. I think maybe Emma was a replacement. No, Emma couldn't be a replacement of Liberty because, it just didn't make sense. Anywho, so she was stuck on an island, and Rick basically had her to herself, and no one was protecting Emma from Rick and all that. And Emma didn't clue into Rick's advances and all that. Until finally she snapped after Rick kissed her. Basically, Rick decides to go to school for revenge. He goes after Paige first, but then Paige calms him down without seeing the gun. He puts the gun in his locker, and then after Spitter and Jay trick him into thinking that Jimmy was at fault, he shoots Jimmy, and then he finds Emma with Sean and Toby, and decides to get rid of Emma once and for all for spurning him. But Sean saves the day by inadvertently shooting Rick with his own gun. Emma has her own PTSD problems that weren't properly dealt with. And basically, she was a shell of herself. I mean, she got a gonorrhea attack from Jay, and people still shunned her and all that. And Emma felt like she was a terrible person. And then you got yourself the fact that season 5 she finally decides to gravitate to a boy, which was Peter. And so basically, she wants to be with Peter. Peter does frame Manny for stuff and show a topless video of Manny. Emma at first thinks that Manny was a boyfriend stealer, but nope. When the truth came out, Emma allowed Manny to stay with her because, Emma had to be a true friend. Unfortunately, Emma then suffers an eating disorder with many factors such as being with, Snake and Spike's separation at the time, losing weight with Manny for Manny to get a role, and still and being with Peter, even though that she should never have been with Peter. Kirstine disorder is fixed in a sense. Emma still is with Peter. Then Sean pops up out of nowhere in season 6, and Emma feels drawn to him, even though that she should be with Peter. Peter is upset and decides to frame Sean because he knows that Sean's going to take Emma away from him. So Peter is a little worried, and then, Emma breaks off with Peter after realizing what Peter did, so she's with Sean, and then Sean leaves for the army. Emma is upset. Apparently they talk to each other, but Emma then decides to go after Damien for some reason, because I didn't like the fact that, why Damien? But anyhow, Damien cheats on Emma with Liberty. Emma decides to cut Liberty some slack and blame Damien for everything. And then, Emma doesn't have a boyfriend. And then her roommate, Kelly, she falls in love with him, even though Manny wants Kelly. And then Emma, does the pot brownies thing just to try to make her less bland and vanilla. And that caused trouble as Kelly took the fall for her, even though Emma wanted to take the blame. And then all of a sudden, you got yourself the problem that, after Manny left for Hollywood and Liberty left for pre-law, Emma was by herself. She was probably friendless. And, Kelly broke off with her and went back to the Yukon. She was upset about that, and then she married Spinner out of frickin' nowhere. So, yeah, this person said season 8 on the rewatch, and season 9, I should have said season 9, everything comes to a head. So, I'm going to read you the Reddit stuff, because I know that you probably want to know about the Reddit, like what people said on Reddit. So, that's what I'm going to do. All right, so one person said Emma couldn't handle no longer being the center of attention 24/7 of her love interest in her best friend, so cut her slack. Someone said she was insufferable, but she was at her worst at Smithdale, just so negative. How she mocked Manny for having the audacity to suggest they could make new friends and meet new people. I don't know why Kelly chose her instead of Manny. And the way she forced her vegetarianism on him and shamed him for wanting to do an actual internship over the summer instead of biking with her. And then the person responded saying she had the worst trajectory starting sometime in high school. I assumed she'd be super involved joining the fireman club, but instead her energy her pick-me energy intensifies, and she's boring and lame and more codependent than ever. This probably started around Peter and all that. And someone said, well, the college plots were weird and all that. So yeah. And people said the first year of college is a big change for most kids. They're living away from home for the first time, and it can be scary. It's easy to try to cling to the familiar to make it more so. And Tom Darko said, I think in their own poor way, this was another. Emma has issues with control storyline where her anxiety spirals when she isn't dictating everything going around her. They did it through the shitty lenses of season 8 writing. I wouldn't mind a well-done storyline about having her find her own identity in college outside of her friends, and even her expanding with drugs. Yeah. And they fumbled everything in 89. So this is what I said on the Reddit post, and it got 10 upvotes. I said, the anxiety buildup in her throughout her time on the show also contributed to her downfall in seasons 8 and 9. She was catfish, worrying about Manny too much. Snake's innocent kiss with Hatzalackles almost break up the family. JT stabbing Jeff Stess from her house. Sean's drama, not to mention Rick having a gun pointed at her. I feel that the Rick Murray situation started her character shift from nosy crusader and misunderstood friend to blood dibs and going nowhere unless she was a guy. Not to mention that when Rick had the gun pointed at her, she had no friend group outside the Whack Your Brain team and no boyfriend. So she decided to be a clingy friend and girlfriend for maybe protection and all that. So that's basically my topic sentence. And I know, and I will link to the three unpopular opinions I did about this whole situation. One about Emma being a clingy friend. Another one being Emma being a clingy girlfriend, and another one with how the writers are screwed her over. But this is the big moment, guys. Like, I know I'm gonna get flack for this, but I don't care. Here's my opinion. The whole thing with Emma being a clingy friend does have to do with the Rick Murray situation. I know I did lots of videos on this, like on popular opinions and otherwise. But the fact of the matter is, Emma, at the time of Rick having the gun pointed at her, was not herself. She messed up in season 4 with trying too hard to prevent Liberty from being with Chris. I mean, Emma and Chris broke up. Emma should probably have just let Chris go. I mean, did people even care that Emma and Chris were together? Or was Emma only with Chris because of trying to stick it to Sean and all that, or trying to prove that, Sean being with the candy bandits, I can move on from him myself. And she didn't. And of course, that pissed off Manny and Liberty. And Emma deserved the hate for that. I will say that much. I'm not defending her. But the fact of the matter is that she gravitates towards Paige's friend group because she has nobody around her. Like, Toby's around her, but, Toby's creepy in a sense. But then, she is told that, if you help destroy Rick, then you could be in our clique. And then, of course, when Emma spots Manny and Liberty in the bathroom, she basically says, I'm going with green tea with Paige. Have fun with your hot tub. In a sense, I figured that Emma was just trying to stick it to Manny and Liberty because she figures that if she gets on Manny and Liberty's nerves, that, to say that you break me off as a friend, I don't need you. Of course, Emma was probably lying to herself, and that was part of her clingy friend process. I think she was lying to herself. And then, of course, it all goes for shit, and, Emma gets blacklisted by Paige's clique. And basically, Emma, all she has left is the Wacky Brain team paying attention to her, so she couldn't dictate things. Of course, Toby and Rick both had affections for her. Yes, Toby did have them. And of course, Jimmy, I don't think, wanted to be with Emma. He had his own problem. He had Hazel. So anyhow, Emma had not much of a friend group. She didn't really have a boyfriend until Peter in season 5. And she was easy pickings for Rick. Rick figured that, Emma didn't have a boyfriend, so she was easy to go after. And Emma tried desperately to tell Rick that I only did it to protect you, not because I like you. But Rick does not believe her BS in the most part. So anyhow, Rick, is upset when Emma yells at him. And despite the fact that, he wanted to go after Paige first. Like, if he wanted to go after Emma completely, he would have found Emma first and not Paige. But he goes after Paige, but Paige calms him down, and so Rick, doesn't do it. And then he's tricked by Spinner and Jay to shooting Jimmy, and then he finds Emma, luckily, because Emma was walking the wrong way. If Emma and them had walked away, saw the people running past them, they should have just ran off. But Rick probably might have spotted Emma and shot at her. But regardless, Rick says that you played with my emotions, you'll pay. Sean tries to reason with Rick. Toby doesn't really reason with Rick, even though Toby is Rick's best friend. And basically, a gunshot goes off. We find out that Sean's got a cast on his arm. It's like, what? How? But then we find out that maybe residue got on him. Shotgun residue got on him and burned him. Of course, Emma becomes withdrawn. She does accompany Sean to Wasaga Beach to deal with his parents and all that, and then is upset that Sean was staying in Wasaga. I think Emma wanted to be with Sean, and of course, that's one of my other big opinions, is that Emma wanted to be with Sean after the shooting because, he saved her life. And who else would? I think if Toby made an effort to save Emma's life, I think Emma would have followed for Toby out of pure sympathy. I think. That's just what I'm saying. So, anyway, the fact of the matter, guys, is that Emma's behavior really changed in a lot of ways. I mean, it's not just the clinginess towards a boyfriend or friends or a friend group. It's the fact of the matter that one of her biggest changes was the causes. Like, she was known for her causes pissing people off with the causes, especially Raditch, and I do say so. And I will not leave that thing alone. Anyhow, Raditch aside, What did Emma do for causes, except for trying to get Sean a lawyer in season 6, despite the fact that she's with Peter, and in season 7, Purple Dragon, and then the Recycle Project in season 9. I mean, she had her heart in, but she lost her drive, she even said. And there's got to be a point which, the turning point. And the turning point was Rick having the gun at her. Because remember, the Orange Ribbon campaign was supposed to do things with domestic violence, but the students took it the improper way. Emma knew she was going to do it one way and all that, but she might have secretly done it to try to stick it to Manny and Liberty and to stick it to Radich. I still believe that. But the fact of the matter is that, she lost her drive and all that. And then by season 5 or 6, she was more blonde, she was more ditzy, she was more clingy towards her friends and a boyfriend. I mean, she had to be clingy. I mean, she was with Peter, of all people, who put Manny into this thing. A part of me thinks that Emma wants to be with Peter because Peter put Manny to her, and Emma could control Manny by saying, if you disagree with stuff, I can kick you out. Although that wasn't said, but you don't know what's going on in Emma's head after the Rick Murray situation. And then, she got upset over JT's stabbing in season 6, and people said that she should not have been involved in this. But she had to be. I mean, it was at a party that she and Manny threw, and without Spike and Snake's permission. JT was stabbed just steps from her house. I mean, how else is she going to react? And yeah, she was upset with Manny moving on, and, Manny moving out of the house. Emma felt like she was losing an ally. Manny stood her up for that girls' night. And, that's no excuse. Manny should not have done that because maybe that was a part of things that Emma was trying to get control on. It would have worked. I think that if Manny had listened to Emma's pleas about the whole JT situation and, spent time with her, I think Emma would have calmed down. But things snowballed. There's a cheerleading competition at Degrassi, and Lakers is competing, and Emma says, we're dancing on JT's grave. Okay, fair enough. But then when Manny is with Damien, Emma finally explodes, saying that, why are you with Damien? And then a few other Lakers students, ex-Lakers students, said that, wait a minute, Damien, your family knows Drake Lampley, the guy who stabbed JT. Are you in connection with him? And Damien stammers. Manny blows a gasket, and then, Emma gets to protest at the cheerleading competition. Degrassi wins, but they decide to pin things on Emma. There was a school fight and all that between Lakers and Degrassi. Emma gets blamed for it. Emma tries to tell Snake, saying that, everyone wants to move past JT. I can't. And that ticks me off. And Snake says, I know. But we all have guilt over this. And this isn't about JT dying. This is about Manny, losing Manny. And so Emma makes up with Manny. And I think that's almost the last time that Emma had hurt Manny. Although taking Kelly could count too. But yeah, when you look at past season 4, it's like she's gotten worse and worse. And, she's a clingy friend to Manny and Liberty, especially in college, because she doesn't have anyone else by it. She could meet someone with her own views and all that, and maybe she'll get her drive back in a sense. But the fact of the matter is that, the boyfriend stuff with Kelly and all that, she was upset. She wanted to dictate the relationship, and that cost her dearly. I mean, with Kelly decided to move back to the Yukon rather than be with Emma, and Emma felt lost. And then she ends up being with Spinner. So random, eh? But it just proves how bad Emma's character was. College does bad things to a character, possibly. Emma is not the only one. Paige, remember her with her panic attacks, and then basically she goes downwards and becomes an assistant to a reality star, and basically is laughed at for that matter. And, Paige trying to get control back. It's just hard to believe. But for me, there's one simple fact. The fact of the matter is that Emma becoming a clingy friend was because of Rick Murray. Was because, Rick had a gun pointed at her. How else are you going to freaking react? But we didn't know that Emma had her PTSD. It was never properly addressed. It was never shown to be addressed or talked about, even after season 4. I don't think they even mentioned about Emma's problems with Rick after season 4. I think the writers just left it alone. And the writers freaking messed up. They thought they were doing themselves a favor by making Emma more interesting after season 4. Mary McDonald's glow up, and of course, It's possible there should be proof. I know, but there might be something that the writers were scared because early internet boards, well, this is 2004, mind you, may have had some hate on Emma, and they were trying to make Emma a more likable character because they were afraid that some fan was going to do something to off Mary McDonnell or Emma. It happens. But the fact of the matter, guys, is that, you know, it's hard to believe. And, I think the writers, by trying to make Emma more relatable, actually made Emma less likable in a sense. It's gotten to the point that I think a lot of fans wanted Emma, liked the Emma who was pushy, nosy, and triggered all the time in the first 3 seasons, more so than the ditzy Emma from seasons 5 on to 9. It's weird that they actually value Emma being a more pushy Emma to be better suited than a vanilla Emma, if you will. So yeah, I know that you're saying, just let it go, man. The Rick Murray situation was not why she was clingy towards friends and boyfriends. Yes, it was. It totally was. Emma had no friends, no key friends, I mean, and no boyfriend when Rick had the gun at her head. Well, no, pointing at her, I guess I should say. But the fact of the matter is that Emma's PTSD was never established and never touched upon after Secret. What happened and all that? They didn't mention anything about the shooting. And remember, Emma had all these problems, and she was trying to pretend like she was herself, but she wasn't herself. And the Rick Rude situation did her in. It made her realize that she needed to be around friends and boyfriends for protection. I mean, after all, I think if she had the protection of a boyfriend or even friends, then they probably would have stopped her from being with Rick. And they probably would have stopped Emma's problems before they started. But Emma let herself down, and she was probably just thinking, you know what, I need to be with friends and all that, because if I'm not, then someone like Rick could come back in my life and try to kill me. I think that was her thinking, and it was never established. Nobody clued into that, not even Snake. So yeah, fight me all you want on this, but I'm doubling down, and that's the way it is. Anyway, thanks for watching.